Okay, let's start with a few minutes of meditation just to settle in. So for this, I just want to bring to light this central theme of taking your home in the body. So as you sit here, and let's try to look away from the screen. So just looking at a point somewhere else. As you sit here, you don't have to take up any special posture or anything, but just allowing the experience of the body to slowly come into focus. So it can be the experience of the surface of the body, the outline of the body, how the body is touching itself in some spots, how the body is touching chair, floor, air. It can be anything on the surface of the body. Maybe the intention jumps between different touch points, or it's kind of covering the whole body. And maybe also allowing the internal experience of the body to be noticed. If there's something to feel, maybe there's a sense of warmth or just the space or volume that your body inhabits. The space of your body feels distinctly different than, let's say, trying to feel the air a meter in front of you. There's kind of density, a warmth, a cloud of sensation, which makes up the experience of your body. And of course, within the body, there's many movements. There's the movement of breath. There's maybe different sensations appearing, disappearing, different sensations being noticed in your experience. So this is really our home base in meditation practice, in Vipassana meditation practice. This is our home base, whether it is the breathing or the body sitting or touching of the body or the walking movement. Our body, our feeling body is the home base for our practice, and it is kind of the place where we keep settling back to, where we keep resetting. And when we feel we are settling in this home base, we can start to notice what else is here. There's constantly things going on. This is the nature of our experience, to constantly be processing, be thinking, analyzing, considering. But meanwhile, there's still this stillness of the body. And so as we move into Vipassana meditation, as we start to kind of open up more and more and allow ourselves to notice and label whatever is happening in our experience, whether it's thinking or planning or some emotion moving through, anger, sadness, annoyance, worry, doubt, pleasure, joy, peacefulness, calmness, scatteredness, concentratedness, fogginess, cloudiness, sleepiness, drowsiness. And as there's other sense doors that catch our attention, the hearing, the seeing, smelling, tasting, other sensations in the body, some of them neutral, some of them maybe you notice some discomfort, some tension, or you notice a pleasant feeling in the body. So this is our entire experience. The thinking mind, the feeling body, the hearing, the seeing, tasting, smelling. This entire space of our experience. And so we move into Vipassana. This is our meditation, just to notice what is happening in the experience. But we use this home base of the body to keep our attention, our awareness a little bit more sharp, a little bit more grounded in the direct experience of the body, so that we're not just caught in thinking about experience, but experiencing directly. And we also introduced this idea of the feeling, the sensation of different experiences, the sensation of different sense doors, the feeling of thinking, the feeling of hearing, the feeling of seeing, the feeling of something in the body. So when we are working at this level, just noticing the feeling of, the sensation of, for example, when we are thinking, our attention is somewhere, collapses somehow into maybe the headspace, where there's maybe a contraction or a feeling of expansion somewhere, or depending if it's a pleasant or unpleasant thought. And we are just working like this. We are just working to notice the feeling of thinking. Sometimes thoughts are more sticky, sometimes less sticky. Sometimes emotions are more sticky, more intense. Sometimes they come and go very quickly. Sometimes we are resisting experience. Sometimes there's a very smooth flow of experience and it seems like we're not holding on to anything. So all of this is just being noticed. This is Vipassana meditation, to just notice without interfering this entire body-mind process. And of course, sounds simple, but is not so easy to do in practice, because we get distracted, we start following, we start collapsing into thinking, into identifying with the thought. But when we notice this, we just recognize it. And we can use the body as a little bit as a home base to reset. And that's why we also have the labels to help us, to keep us a little bit accountable, on track for what's happening. So there's been a few questions about the labels, and the labels are there to help you. So the labels are there to help you with this acute present moment awareness of body and mind. The labels are not mantra, I keep repeating that, but they're just a little kind of post-it note that you put on experience. I feel sitting. I notice tension was hearing. I noticed that thinking was happening, is happening. Oh, I notice I feel annoyed. Oh, now I notice rising. Now I notice sitting. Now I notice touching. When things get a bit messy, again, just resetting a little bit. Bit more concentration, bit more samatha, choosing our focus object, breath, and so on we practice. So I want to give a little bit of background information of why we are doing this practice like this. What is the idea behind it? The theoretical basis. And of course, these are ideas, these are thoughts, these are frameworks, constructs. They are not the actual reality. The actual reality is to be experienced by you right now. So what I'm sharing now here are ideas that I formed, that I created, that I read about, that I put together, and I'm using these ideas to put some idea of the practice into your head. But it is just the idea of the practice, it's not the actual practice. There's a nice saying, don't mistake the finger pointing at the moon for the moon itself. So don't mistake the intellectualizing, the thinking about it for the direct experience. So we have the Buddha. He is an advocate for meditation. We are practicing a bit more on samatha meditation, on prioritizing the settling and calming of the mind-body formation through a focus object that we repeatedly come back to and resting back to. We chose the breath as a focus object. And sometimes we experience deeper states of concentration with our focus object. So very settled states, concentrated states, there's not much noise or less noise, less scattering of the mind, and more just the experience of what we're focusing on. Very smooth flowing experience, maybe. Maybe you start to feel some joy, some peace in these moments. But then the problem is that these states of peace and calm, they're also impermanent. They are changing. As soon as more stimuli, more things, you have to deal with the life again. You stop your meditation, you go outside, and there's things happening. And it's almost like that state of calm, of peace is eroded by stimuli, is eroded by reactions, is eroded by the world or our own thinking. So samatha meditation is wonderful, but it is impermanent. So it decays, the state of concentration decays. And of course, we can get better at cultivating it, but it always changes. And that's where the Buddha was trying to find he practiced a lot of concentration techniques. He did that for the first few years. He mastered the 8 jhanas, very deep absorption states where there's no thinking, no you're just resting in infinite space, as infinite space. But he always found, okay, I attain these deep states, and then I go out and I start again struggling outside of the meditation. So what is something that is going even beyond this, that is helping me to find deeper contentment, deeper happiness that is not dependent? We all have things that keep bothering us in our meditation. So just an invitation to write in the chat, what are some of the things that you've noticed that that take you out, that bother you, that disrupt your concentration, your peace, your calm, your whatever it is. triggers you, essentially. And specifically what you noticed in your meditations for the last few days. You don't have to write everything, maybe just some keywords. So there's noise, sound is triggering. Is it the noise itself or the thoughts about the noise? Sounds, worries, planning. What else? Pain, pain, pain. Physical discomfort, planning. Great. Anything else? Am I there yet? Time and state, impatience, wanting to arrive elsewhere, memories. Great, great, good. So we are noticing all these things. And you might notice that sometimes when you catch it, it doesn't bother you. And other times it bothers you a lot. So the way you relate to it changes. Sometimes you hear the sound and it's just sound, it's just hearing. Sometimes you hear the sound and you start to get annoyed and pissed off about it. And what are these neighbors doing? Why is it, what are they doing? This doesn't make sense. Or the pain. Sometimes the pain is just pain, just a sensation, just that. And other times you start to worry, oh, what does this mean about my body? And I should do more this, or maybe I need to find a way to solve it, or um, is this bad for my body? Maybe I should shift the posture. Oh my God, I shouldn't shift because I need to hold still. I'm not a good meditator. And, and sometimes it's just the pain. So the thing is that concentration and samatha can be disrupted by different things. It's impermanent. And the main reason that the Buddha proposed is delusion. Delusion, and not seeing the truth of what phenomena are, of what body and mind is doing by itself, by nature. And the delusion of permanence, the delusion of selfness, um, and the feeling that we can somehow change things to just get the perfect balance to never suffer again. But of course, struggle always comes back. And there's so much, the delusion in this world is so vast, so infinite. Like now there's the news of the what's happening in Israel and these horrible acts which are being committed, and these horrible, completely deluded beliefs that are being followed and being killed for and murdered for. And imagine the amount of delusion and ignorance and misunderstanding of happiness, of how this body and mind works and how happiness is created, um, for it to lead to killing, for it to lead to violence. So much misunderstanding, being blind to the truth of our experience. And so the Buddha proposes a way to to examine, to look, and to start to lift this veil of delusion. This delusion that keeps causing clinging and aversion, that keeps causing holding on to things, that keeps causing the extreme pushing away. In other words, it keeps causing greed or hatred. Delusion, the ignorance from the way things are, that keeps triggering more wanting and more disliking or hatred. So this goes from the very gross manifestation of delusion and hatred or greed, for example, in Israel, in the with the war, the hatred towards the group on the outside being the cause of your suffering, to very subtle forms of delusion, how the pain is manifesting in the body and how aversion is appearing in response to that pain, in response to that. So the entire field of experience is our scope of our investigation, this is scope of our meditation. And what we are practicing in Vipassana is to try to examine what is really going on there with an extraordinary attentiveness, to examine really what exactly happens in body and mind in every moment, and how the misunderstanding of that causes clinging aversion. This is what we're investigating in Vipassana meditation. So there was a nice example a few days ago in my morning meditation when there was a clock which I was seeing while doing walking meditation, and I was just seeing, in the first few times, I was just seeing this time. I was not processing what does the time mean. And then then my mind started to examine, then it started to put into context these numbers that I'm seeing, this visual, what I'm seeing, and then put it into context for what it means, for how much time is left for the walking meditation. And then that was the moment that my mind started to compare. Okay, there is this much time left. I need to do like this now. So what maybe happens before is I see the time, I think about how much time is left, and I start to a little bit feel impatience or dissatisfaction. And what we're doing in Vipassana meditation, we are just, because of our attentiveness of body and mind and seeing, we're just deconstructing that, what is really going on there, step by step. And more we start to see how it works, how the nature of body and mind works, how the suffering gets created, how the struggle, the dissatisfaction gets created, essentially from resisting what is. So is the pain really a problem, or is it more about how what is happening after that, the abstraction, the worrying, the doubt, that creating struggle? And importantly, in Vipassana meditation, we are working not just with the idea, not just with thinking about it, not just with analyzing it, not just with psychoanalysis. These are nice ideas. Okay, I shouldn't cling, I shouldn't be averse, makes sense. But we hear about this idea, it's a nice idea, and maybe we think about it a little bit. This is intellectual wisdom. Okay, it makes sense to me, I understand it. But of course, we keep doing it, we keep falling into the same pattern. And so Vipassana meditation, we're trying to work with the experiential level, the direct experience of the phenomena. Over and over, we see it, we see how it plays out. And at a deep level, at a deep intuitive level, the mind, the assumptions of how we are processing reality start to change, start to shift. The deeper parts of our mind start to see this happening, this cling, this constant reactivity, the more it is released. So it is a process of experiencing. So sometimes in meditation, you need to tell yourself things. You need to tell yourself, oh, I should be more calm, or I should just be with what is, or just be present. And my voice also helps with that. But less and less, the meditation is becoming something you need to put on extra, some thought you need to have in order to be okay with experience. But more just through the direct experience, just through the noticing of the thinking, there's the release. Just through the noticing of the motion, you're already noticing it's already passing away. So this is the direct experience. And instead of just repeatedly settling this jar with the dirt in it, we are working with removing more permanently our aversions, our clinging that causes the turmoil in the first place. And of course, this is a slow process. And sometimes it means we need to face more difficult things because we don't just revert to calming, settling the mind. And it means we need to face all of it, all of the negativity, all of the reactivity that we have in our body mind system. It needs to be faced. So we can create really nice conditions to have a peaceful meditation. We can put on noise canceling headphones. We can be somewhere very still. We can be in a cave and allow everything to be perfect conditions to meditate and attain very deep states of concentration and peace. But our work in Vipassana is to actually somehow allow ourselves to be a bit triggered, to work with that discomfort of being uncomfortable, being triggered, and to start to change our relationship to those triggers, to that, to not react, to not perpetuate. So in the first lecture, I was saying this is kind of our usual way of perceiving reality. Here's me, here's the world. I change things in the world, I change things in myself. And in that way, I make a better life, maybe. And that's great. Working with cause and effect. That's a really good way to work. Very important. And in meditation, we are just looking more within, looking at body and mind and how it works. So what we are practicing to see clearly is not so much you in the world. Of course, that also starts happening, but more how our moment-to-moment sensory experience is manifesting. And by sensory experience, I mean our sensory experience of hearing, of seeing, of tasting, of smelling, of the feeling body, of the thinking mind. So our entire experience can be viewed through this lens of our sensory experience. This is what we're starting to look at, and this is what you're starting to look at in your meditation. What is here in every moment you are seeing it happen, seeing how the thoughts get created, seeing how different things happen, seemingly by themselves. So our technique, our aid to help us do this, there's many different techniques, but the technique that I'm proposing here and have had a lot of success with is to just keep intending to be aware of body and mind at the present moment. What is body and mind doing right now? What is it doing right now? It's doing right now. So the keys here are aware. So just aware, nothing extra, not interfering, not pushing away, not analyzing, not considering, just aware. body and mind. We are aware on the level of body and mind, just seeing the activity of body and mind. So when we're labeling, not labeling so much the content, like you are hearing a car. There was a question this morning in the chat. Don't label car, just label hearing. When you're thinking about what you have to do tomorrow or what you're going to have for lunch tomorrow, don't label lunch or lunch tomorrow, just label planning or thinking. And just aware of body and mind at the present moment. So as much as you can, just aware of what's happening right now. Not if something happened 10 seconds ago or 5 seconds ago and you only realize it now, you don't need to aware on it. Just aware on what's happening right now. And of course, there's always a little bit delay, especially your labeling. There's some delay, but more and more you can start to become aware as it's happening. So firstly, we need to label after the fact. So, oh, I was noticing thinking. Just you label thinking, but it already passed. But then more and more, you're reducing that gap, that delay, and you're aware as the things are happening, where they are happening. A little prompt that you can continue to use is to keep asking, what now? What now I notice sitting? What now I notice hearing? What now notice this kind of vibratory feeling? What now I notice some contraction? So you keep using this what now. It's like a snapshot. Snapshot. You're just taking a screenshot of your conscious experience at the present moment and just giving it a label. Just do one thing at a time. There's so many things happening. You don't need to try and catch everything. Just one thing at a time. And over time, the skill of just noticing gets sharper, more fast. You can notice things much more quickly. You might notice one thing every few seconds now. Maybe it starts becoming one thing every second, then maybe it starts to become 5 things per second, 10 things per second you notice. And then again, maybe just one thing every 3 seconds, you're more scattered. That's okay, whatever is noticed. And you can always come back to a bit more settling and calming, samatha. When things are too messy, too confusing, just a little bit more on rising and falling at the belly, sharpen up your attention. Just come back to this. We need a certain level of calmness of mind in order to start practicing Vipassana. Okay. So 2 key principles, which we've already been practicing, so it's not something completely new. And so the first few days, I was already taking some Vipassana-like language in the meditations in preparation. So it's not going to be such a hard switch, but more a gradual switch this morning, today, for the rest of the course. But the principles are just awareness, just the mere sensory awareness. Just being aware of that, of it, with no extra. And maybe there's going to be extra that you need to tell yourself, okay, don't react to it, don't do this. Or maybe there's going to be some hidden intention behind your awareness. I'm aware in order to get rid of it. I'm aware in order to make it last. I'm aware in order to get somewhere. So then it's also not just mere awareness. There's something extra in the awareness. There's some intention hidden behind the awareness. So you need to see this intention also. Oh, I wanting to be, you can even label this, wanting to be peaceful, wanting to make it go away. That you can label that. So just the mere awareness of what's happening. And things keep sneaking in. This is normal. Also for me, things keep sneaking into that pure awareness, hidden intentions, and we just keep noticing that. So we keep going meta in a way. We keep checking. Okay, I'm aware of my body clearly, but am I aware with some hidden intention? Just notice that. Keep checking. Keep asking what now. And if you're getting too tense, too tight about it, I have to get it super perfect. You also notice that. Oh, noticing perfectionism, noticing effort, noticing tightness, trying hard, wanting to get it right. Just label that. The labels are actually not so important. They help you to observe what's there. So it's not some goal you need to achieve, not something you need to achieve to succeed. Just relax, open, and see what now. It's the first principle. Second principle is equanimity. I mentioned equanimity last night. Equanimity comes from a word meaning inner balance, meaning balance. So whatever experience is coming, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, you are kind of allowing all of it to be there. So I would like to do a little bit of a gesture of the body, which helps to feel what equanimity is like as an attitude. So if you can all join me with this, let's kind of, I'm going to go back here a little bit so you can see me. Let's kind of open up the arms slowly from the chest. So first, your arms are closer to your body. And just bring attention to the heart space, the chest, the shoulders, the collarbones, the sternum. And then from the sternum, from the heart space, opening the chest and allowing that opening of the chest to open your arms wide. And the hands are relaxed but open. And you're kind of, it feels like you are just allowing and witnessing the space in front of you. And allowing everything in front of you to be held, to be accepted, to be seen from where you are. A non-judgmental awareness. You are like a tree under which anything can rest in the shade of your tree, whether it's pleasant experiences, unpleasant experience, whether it's hatred or anger or sadness or things you like, things you don't like, anything can rest in this shade of this tree. And you're fully present with what is in front of you. You can even maybe witness the furniture in front of you. It's like you're just giving space for these things to exist just as they are. So this is a little, you can start to lower the arms. this is a little bit how our attitude in noticing, in labeling, in being aware. So we're not, it's not aware like I'm trying to catch things or pinpoint or punch them or something, but it's like this. Oh, this is here. What now? Oh, this is here. What now? Oh, this is here. And by themselves, the things start is shifting, they're changing, they're going, something happens, something happens. Maybe you react for a bit, you find yourself collapsing into being annoyed and trying to fix something, and then you remember, just remember, I have to be like this. Okay, no problem. You just right then, right there, you adopt this stance again. Even when you are not equanimous, even when you feel so annoyed, so reactive, you are just equanimous towards that. You're just aware of that. So this is this open hand, holding the experience with an open hand rather than the opposite of holding experience like this, of just clinging of aversion, this habit that comes from delusion, from the misunderstanding. This is what we are practicing. So we have, and this becoming an experience, through experience, through repeatedly, directly experiencing and practicing this. It's not a thought, it's not, yes, it makes sense in theory, but I need to practice it moment to moment with my entire experience. What annoys me? Is it the hearing that annoys me? Okay, and that's exactly where I need to practice. I need to notice that those annoying sounds and allow them to be there like this. Is my pain that annoys me? I need to notice that pain and allow it to be there like this. Is my bad meditation that annoys me? Okay, I need to notice and be with my bad meditation like this. It's not about having a good, peaceful meditation or and never having a bad, distracted meditation. It keeps changing and everything is okay. So use the labels intelligently. They're not a blind thing to repeat. They're not something to achieve, something to get perfect. They are just there to help you be aware, to be aware and equanimous. How is it different from numbing to experience? Great question. Yes. So this equanimity piece is always, there's danger there of taking it into indifference or numbing. And I myself am also guilty of this at times. So equanimity is not distancing ourselves from it. It is being it and allowing ourselves to fully, it's like a permission to radically experience it. It's like fully riding the wave of that, of whatever it is, of the pain, of the sadness, of the anger, of the whatever it is, fully being it and allowing that to be okay, that you are it. But not getting lost in it, not getting sucked into it, but just riding it. So it's not about distancing yourselves from all human motion. It's about radically feeling everything that is here. And in my experience practicing, I am somehow allowing myself to become more and more human, more and more emotional, actually, um, with different things, to allow myself to feel them more, to become them at times, and at times it's difficult. There's a teacher, Shinzen Yang. He also uses a really nice Synonym for equanimity is love, unconditional love. So maybe there's never a point where we become that, but there's unconditional love for whatever it is. So maybe that's a better image. And it doesn't mean inaction. It doesn't mean I just stand here and watch everything. That's the inner attitude, but from equanimity, you can take very strong action if need be. Because you're not getting sucked into the suffering from it. You're acting with awareness and wisdom. Is there a way of being, if we're being equanimous or indifferent? When we are being indifferent, we can check, is there any subtle aversion towards our experience or myself in this? Usually when there's indifference, there's also an aversion actually towards what's happening. It's like aversion and something withdrawing from it. The self withdrawing. And it feels maybe like equanimity, but or neutrality because it's not touching you, but there's a feeling of withdrawal. And we can check, do we feel care? Do we feel care? If I don't feel care, then maybe it's more indifferent. Yeah. I'm going to send something out also later, a really nice article about this. Yeah. That's my thought for now. Indifference doesn't leave space for emotions. Indifference doesn't Difference doesn't leave space for care. Maybe. Okay. Questions? Comment? Sharings?
I have actually 3 questions. This is Maria from Berlin, Germany. And I would like actually to start congratulating Reimer for his way of teaching. I also teach and I can only learn from you. And my first 2 questions are very practical ones. Like you have been telling us how we can see the different ways of sitting with the chair or the cushion. And my question would be, what do you think about meditation banks? The ones that you sit on and you're on your knees.
Mm-hmm.
And The second one would be if you think that Vipassana could actually be a good or work together with Tai Chi and Qigong, if you can think we could practice both things at the same time or better not. And the third question is a very theoretical one, which has to do also with emotions and impartiality. I find it difficult to relate Vipassana with happiness. If we have to be impartial with what's happening and accept what's happening, but don't let it anchor on us. Like, how can we remain happy if our relation to happiness is the same as our relation to pain, for example? Because I keep labeling all the time, not only when we meditate. It just comes through the day. And well, I hope you can remember my three questions. If not, I can repeat them.
Okay, so the
The bank,
bank,
Tai Chi and Qigong, and
Tai-Chi, and happiness. The bank, yeah, is nice. It's nice, this little wooden bank that you're talking about to sit in the kneeling posture. I personally haven't used it so much, but I've sat on some before and they feel nice. And if it works for you, that works. That's great. And
I have
it's
never
quite.
tried, but
Ah,
I'm injured in both feet,
mm,
so it's quite a
mm,
challenge to find a posture that fits at the
yeah,
moment. So I was
yeah,
just thinking,
yeah. That can be nice. Sometimes it's intense for the ankles to sit like with the straight ankles like that. But maybe you can put something underneath the ankles in that case. I also now still with my recovering from my knee surgery, so I cannot sit properly cross-legged as I used to. So I'm supporting the in one knee. And yeah, if you feel okay, this might be useful, then go ahead. Um,
good. Tai Chi and
yeah,
Qigong would be the
Tai
second.
Chi. I'm also I love these practices, these energetical practices, and I move a lot. I move a lot, and I move a lot. I move very slowly as well. Um, practice Tai Chi a little bit, but I wouldn't call what I'm doing Tai Chi. But I feel that um, in terms of the formal practice, it's good to separate. Now I'm doing Tai Chi, and I'm working more with actively moving energy and shifting energy and feeling also energy outside of the body and as a field. And then in Vipassana mode, I'm more just observing what is there without moving anything and allowing things to be as they are and move. They move by themselves anyway. So yeah, one is a little bit more active. And yeah.
So you would not recommend to practice both things on the same day, for example?
No, you can do it in the same day. I just wouldn't recommend like, hey, I'm going to do my 1 hour of Tai Chi Vipassana.
No, okay, no.
I do more like okay, I do, for example, I do my 1 hour Vipassana in the morning and then I do 1 hour of
Yeah.
moving
I'm
everything.
actually learning not to multitask at the moment, so it's fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
happiness would be
Uh-huh.
the thing.
And they're actually, I feel they're very complementary. So
Yeah.
after my Vipassana meditation, then I can more clearly feel like sensation in the body, energy in the body as it moves. Also, the Vipassana can often work through some things. Um, yeah, Tai Chi would be more like a samatha practice actually,
Yeah.
because you're concentrating on the phenomena of energy and moving it. Then the last question, the most difficult question. I gave myself some time to think about it. Um, happiness. So different things. I've contemplated this a lot in the last years of this practice, and I feel a lot my definition of happiness actually has shifted. And where before happiness was more ecstasy and joy and pleasurable sensations and intensity, then I feel more that happiness for me now is actually more the absence of dissatisfaction, because, or the absence of kind of intense, or the absence of struggle and dissatisfaction. And naturally, somehow, I feel the more default state is open, spacious, contentment. And then when that open, spacious contentment meets situations, sometimes then joy gets created, or meets another person, and then something gets born, and something happens, and then it goes again, it goes away again, and then maybe it's more fun enjoying something ordinary, like, okay, joy in just chopping my vegetables. And so I wouldn't say Vipassana is fostering this kind of intense, rapturous joy, but it's more the background default contentment that comes from not ruminating and being dissatisfied and struggling against something in our experience. And that provides the ground anyway for more joyous experiences to happen in meeting with the world, in meeting with yeah.
Thank you very much.
My thoughts right now. Okay. The idea of act, there's a question in the chat. The idea of action from indifference. How does this relate to enforcing boundaries once communicated? For example, you agreed to a price for your mechanic to fix the car. He ran over the price. Once your motion is set aside, how do you recommend one deals with people in these boundary violations? So you started with the idea of action from indifference. That's not what I said. I said action from equanimity. Indifference would be not caring and maybe withdrawing from the situation. So it's not necessarily to set aside the emotion. Actually, you can use strong emotion also to express, and you are angry in that situation. You can allow, because the energy of anger is so strong. You can actually allow that to express and to use forceful tone and tone in your nervous system, tone in your speech, tone in your body to communicate something, without ill will, without hatred towards that being or something, or towards yourself or the situation, but allowing yourself to ride that emotion. For example, this morning, I was in a little bit of a difficult space of feeling quite small and feeling quite somehow unsure of myself. And with my partner, I was somehow allowing myself to be in that and to speak from there, not to distance myself from it, but to be in that and to allow it and to speak from there without and then practicing to not go too much into victimization or into hardness of pushing it away, but finding that middle way where I'm being the quality with awareness without projecting it. This person is the reason for it. It's here, without suppressing it, and sharing from there, and being received and seen in that safe space. Yeah, but this is kind of a little bit more in than your personal research with it, and how you specifically and what your habits are as a person. Everyone will have different things, whether it's more anger or more other things. But yeah, the key is we are aware of how it is, and we can also investigate a little bit. What if I do this? What happens in my body and mind? What is the consequence in the external world? What is the consequence in my internal world? And seeing, and what we're doing, we're harnessing our awareness of body and mind and sharpening that, and yeah, to work from there. Lena?
Yeah, I had one question. How can we improve our body-mind connection within the meditation, but also outside of it?
What is body-mind disconnection for you?
For example, disconnection from feelings,
Mm-hmm.
numbing easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the context of the Vipassana practice, to allow yourself to feel everything radically and to be everything radically, and allowing yourself to feel it, especially in the body, and to really sink in and become and soften into that, without, because there will be some measures, some responses that your body mind has learned to deal with some intense, overwhelming emotion, maybe. So maybe that response is effort or intense concentration and striving into something, and then it creates some state. Or maybe it is intense analyzing or thinking about or considering situation, world. Or maybe it is numbness. Maybe you start to feel, wow, blood is withdrawing from my hands, from my feet, and there's feeling there in the body, but it feels like almost very, very blank, and things are withdrawing into here. There's sensation and warmth here, but the rest of my body feels like far away, or cold, or distant. And for example, with numbness, allowing numbness to also be a sensation. So not to worry like, hey, well, I can only feel this, but hey, actually, numbness is also a sensation that I can feel in the rest of my body. And noticing then the tendency of the mind in that situation. Oh, noticing, thinking, the analyzing, the considering, noticing running, if there's a feeling of running in the mind, of effort, of striving, of trying, and just noticing all that. And repeatedly taking your home in the full body. And the body as the safety, as a place where you're safe in the whole body. And naturally those experiences, they come and they end. They come and they end. And every time just rewiring that habit of what that tends to happen. Because now we have the space and the time to attend to what happens there, and to notice it. In the life, there's less space to do it, and we tend to just drop into the thing, to the habit. Now we have space. And it's not to solve it immediately, but a long-term project. Yeah, maybe. That's my thoughts. Good. Okay. Let us close the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for yeah, really nice questions. Also difficult questions. Really have to like go into myself to. Okay, what do I feel about this? And I don't know if I give some answers which are helpful, or maybe for me this is also a work in progress. And thank you so much. I would like to close with a chanting, a little bit of chanting actually. It's okay. You can receive it how you want. It's just a little chant, 1 minute, 2 minutes, that they use in Thailand a lot. Just kind of honoring the Buddha within us, the qualities of the Buddha, honoring the Dhamma, the teachings, the practice, and everyone who's upholding the practice, and honoring the Sangha, the community of practitioners. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangam Namami. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks very much.